Yeah. Excuse me. I didn't go with someone who's being drafted late. I actually went with a guy who's being drafted quite high. Tyler O'Neill, currently the 46th player off the board at a 49 ADP. Sorry, 26 years old. Put together his first full season last season and had a phenomenal season. 286, 34 home runs, 15 stolen bases. Now there are some concerns with O'Neill.
Tell me,
His
Cheesecake.
his strikeout rate is high, but this O'Neill is the type of a person who has consistently put up high BABIPs, 364, 386, 366 with a 189 sprinkled in there in a subpar 2020. But one thing that I really like about O'Neill is that O'Neill has a 98 percentile sprint speed, and the Cardinals are an organization that likes to run. They were 6th in stolen bases last year. O'Neill put together 34 home runs, 15 stolen bases, only 537 plate appearances last year. He had a couple of nagging injuries, little injuries, nothing concerning. One was COVID. One was actually like getting injured sliding into a base, a vaccination issue. Given him 600 plate appearances, I think you could be looking at easy 20 stolen bases. His speed is there. The Cardinals like to run. They have a new manager this year, but it's a manager they've been grooming for a while. He's well versed in what the organization does. So I think that their steals profile as an organization is not going to change very much. So I really like O'Neill's power speed profile. I don't think he's going to hit 286, but I think if he hits 250, 260 with 30-20, I think that's a really valuable season going in the 3rd to 4th round.
Well, I actually have him as my player I hate, and
before me too.
Do you really?
Did we switch to guys we hate?
You know what? Let's both count. I want to see the shirt first, and then we can both.
Oh yeah, so here's the shirt. It's in the form of you young folks. There was a guy named Dr. Dre, and he came out with a really pivotal album called Chronic, and it was amazing. And that's what this is based off of.
That shirt slaps.
It really does slap. Had you guys never heard anybody say that, and that's why you keep associating it with me?
Yeah, you were the first one.
I've heard it before, but you're the most famous person I've heard use it.
Okay.
No, you guys.
I picked it up from some random kids on Twitch. Let's be honest.
Slap Anthony Fantano says it all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
The shirt's really dope, though.
It's an amazing shirt, and if you like Cronenworth and West Coast rap, I mean, it's kind of literally the perfect shirt. But I came back, and I didn't want to interrupt you while you were saying it, but I wanted to say, are we talking about players we hate? Because O'Neill is my negative too.
Yeah, you know what? I'm sure we might have similar points. I'll let you go ahead. Why do you hate him? And then I'll add on anything that.
I mean, I'm getting real Domingo Santana, Steven Souza vibes.
Oh, Paul, that's from the top rope.
Go look at the breakout seasons that they had. There's a lot of similarities, I should say. There are some positive aspects, and Cheesecake highlighted them with the power and speed. The raw skills are there. It's weird. This always comes down to price, right? And listen, it's fun because if he beasts, Cheesecake gets to dunk on us and be like, see, he's good. And that's fine. That's kind of part of the show of what we do in fantasy. It's not that I don't like the player. It's not that I don't even think he could go 30-30. Like of course he can. He has the skill, but we're betting, right? And we're trying to bet with the prices that are in front of us. And at that price, I can't pay full price for a profile like this. For me, it's always going to be, let me find the next Tyler O'Neill. I wrote him up in the forecaster last year and actually pumped him up a bit. Humble brag there. Actually, just a brag bag. There's nothing humble about that. I literally just said I was on that. I had no idea it'd be that good. And honestly, truth be told, Brent Hershey, the editor, my editor over there, had to tell me to look deeper. He wasn't really satisfied with the fact that I was clowning all over him. He's like, you need to look at these raw skills. So I got to give him the credit on that right up there anyway. But I just don't like to pay high full price for these sorts of profiles because they are so volatile. If he puts up like a 25-10 season hitting 228, would it really surprise anybody? I don't think so. And I don't even know if it would surprise you necessarily, Cheesecake. So it's a matter of being comfortable with that price point. You are, and that's okay because a lot of people are going to be. He is a hot commodity in the market. But I think David and I are just going to be a little bit more risk averse on it. and I would imagine, I don't want to speak for him, but a lot of it due to the fact of the volatility of that strikeout and walk rate. Just
Absolutely.
it breeds so much volatility with guys. Part of the reason why I'm not super keen on Javi Baez as a Tiger, because of how that profile usually ages. In O'Neill's case, at least he's 27. But like I said, I did get a lot of Souza and Santana vibes, and they both broke out in 2017. Go check out those seasons compared to O'Neill and tell me you don't see some similarities, right down to the injury history that those two guys shared. And then O'Neill has as well.
Yeah, the injury thing is, I think, a big deal. Also, just a couple of things. You brought up that strikeout rate, 31.3% was bottom 4% of the league last year. And he had over 40% whiff percentage on both breaking balls and off-speed pitches. So, I mean, there's just a lot of scary stuff inside that profile where you're like, hey, he's just going to be a big boomer bust player at the plate, it seems like. Inside the top 50 picks. And, another thing, too, he had a 26.2 home run to fly ball rate last year, which to me is way higher than his last 2 seasons before that, and doesn't seem very sustainable either. So I think there's no denying he's a beast. He had an elite barrel percentage, hard hit percentages, exit velocities. I mean, you look at his page, it would make a bull angry. There's so much red. Like, let's be honest. But at the end of the day, it's like Paul said, it's like at what price you have to pay for it. Like if he was down, 20 or 30 more picks, that I would probably be a little bit more interested. But inside the top 50, I don't think I can do it.
That's where I mean, if I may counter, I think that one thing that you'll look is the BABIP's is going to be helped by his sprint speed. He's going to be able to leg out a lot more hits than the guys who have that other high strikeout profile. And he hits the ball very hard. So that home run fly ball ratio, it might be just a skill that he has. And again, I'm thinking if he's 28, 29, I'm thinking the skills are going to start slipping. He's not going to be on my list. This might be the only year that I'm a big fan of his. And I'm only a fan of his because you're not going to get that type of a profile very often after he's gone. So that's my
especially with the speed upside. And I get that. And again, I think it's just everyone's individual volatility index. And I'm not afraid to take volatile players too, right? Because people could say, well, you take Buxton and Mondesi and things like, what are you off on O'Neill for? And it's like, well, again, those comps kind of jump out to me. They're not perfect, but there are similarities. And I think the Souza one even more so, not just because they're both white, but the injury, the athleticism that Souza had, like I just think that they look pretty similar there, and we saw what happened. Of course, Souza, a lot of it was injury. So if O'Neill stays healthy, all bets are kind of off. That's just a big part of what I can't guarantee myself and why I don't want to pay the big price.